Hi everyone, welcome back to Paper Therapy with Amy. Do you have any paper collections or what's left of them that look like this? Do you remember In Full Bloom was such a nice paper pack? Well, this is what's left. I made some kits for people and this is the workshop and I've made some layouts and I have what I think are the perfect pictures to go with this. And I drew some inspiration from Dorothy over at Scrapbooking Quebec. She has a layout of my beautiful province at Lake Louise in Alberta. And I just loved it when I saw it on Instagram. So I'm gonna be working on something kind of similar. I drew my inspiration from her and I asked her permission and she said, go right ahead. So today is going to be stash busting, mostly because I'm awaiting a package of stuff and it has not yet arrived. So I think I'm going to be starting on black. I may cut it in half. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut it in half yet or just start on the black pieces. Okay, so here are my pictures. I'm just going to show you, start with this main one. This is Multnomah Falls by Portland. It's beautiful. It was a rainy day and my husband and I went to see it. And so all of my pictures are mossy and green like this, except for my husband and I happen to be wearing matching clothes in a blue. So my goal is to make this blue work with the In Full Bloom blue. Actually, I would say my coat is that color, but I printed these a couple times and they kept coming out like this. So I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it happen. So these are the two main photos. And then I'm going to have a stack of photos she had on her layout. They're kind of rocking all the way across, like back and forth. So something like this. And then she had a row of photos here, and then I have a few more that I haven't glued to their backing yet that would go here to continue the row. However, I don't want to be looking out of the layout here, so I think these guys are going to come to this side, and I'm going to put this one over here. So this is going to be a row this way and then one strip coming down. So this is the green that is in this paper pack and it is almost too bright. So we're going to do some inking to tone some colors down and to like a treatment to the paper, but I'm going to start by figuring out what I want where. So we're going to try putting this here because this is what she had, kind of a strip coming down, and I believe she had like a diagonal stripe here, kind of either on either side or on one side. So I have that with this paper pack as well. It's something like this. I don't have a full strip right now, but I'll cut one after. So let's say we're going to do that. And then I have some bits and pieces and I'm going to treat this too. I already did a sample. I'll have to find it for you. It's a crazy mess in here, except right here. And it's because I've been working on this all morning, trying to figure out how to do it and be able to explain it to you. So something like that. She uses paper that has like a picture in the background. So that is basically this paper here. But if I'm going to use this paper here, I was thinking to start on black because I'll just come in a little bit to give it slight frame. Just that takes a little bit away from the busyness, I find. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to trim this paper down here. And then it's going to trim this piece off and it's going to come to this side. And then I don't want to use 2 sheets of this paper because it says Petite Paris and I'm going to Paris this year. So I will bring in this. I think it's similar enough and different enough to kind of put it in with. So I think I'm going to put this here and possibly have another strip. So I need to cut a piece off here. There we go. And like that. So that's just going to be under there a little. And then, oh, I still made it a little too small. That's okay. That can be fixed. we'll bump it over with another strip of something here. So let's put this in under here, and it's going to be like that. So I'm going to take a little bit off the top. I don't mind cutting some of that Paris offward. So let's go there like this. Isn't this green just perfect with this mossy stuff? I think it's perfect. There we go. Like that, but it definitely needs some kind of treatment to settle it down a little bit. It's a little out there. All right, so now I need something here to kind of fill that up. Okay, so we're gonna, don't want to go too far, just a little, kind of a guided rip here. And then I'm going to take this sheet and I'm going to do the same thing with this. All right, and let's try that there, like that, and like that. And then these are going to go like this. So I'm just going to cut that off. So now I've trimmed that piece off that I'm going to tuck in from behind, so you see a little bit of that diagonal stripe kind of peeking out from behind the green. And I'm going to use this little piece to kind of frame the picture of me and my husband. But I am going to treat these blue pieces so that they match the blue in our coats a little better, a little less lagoon and a little more sapphire. I'm just going to give them a bit of a rub with the blending brushes, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I wanted to continue the green onto the other page to kind of help the pages show that they're together. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I've got the diagonal strip there as well. And then I had this leftover piece, and I thought it might be nice to bring it in all the way to this side so that I have some of that same pattern or design that's on the far right. And I've ripped the wood grain piece as well. So there's a lot of ripping going on this page. Now that I've decided on all my pieces, I'm going to treat the green and the blue to tone them back a little bit or change the color a little bit. I'm just going to bring in my all-purpose mat and some blending brushes and some inks. I'm going to use toffee to distress this green paper, and I'm just going to go all the way around the edges so that there's a bit of a halo of discoloration or darkness going out to the edge. After that, I will use a nail file to kind of distress all around the edges, show some of that white core and even some lines into the middle. I'll make some folds and kind of sand onto those. And it gives it a nice distressed look, and it tones back that brightness of that green just a little bit. I'll do the same for the narrow piece that goes on to the opposite side of the page. And then I have those green pieces distressed. Then I'm going to bring in the blue piece of paper that I have with the writing on it, and I'm going to bring in some sapphire and just lightly try to go around the edge. I'm taking a little bit of ink off the brush so it's not so strong, and just kind of change the hue of that blue to give it a little bit more blue and a little bit less turquoise. And I'm also going to do it to this flower, just give it a little touch of a different color. These blending brushes, if you have inks, then these blending brushes are absolutely a must-have in the craft room. I find that they do such a subtle job on paper, and it's so easy to just change the hue of things a little bit or add a little bit of shading with these little brushes. I'm just going to ink around the edges of this paper as well. I'm doing that with charcoal ink. I'm also adding a little bit of charcoal around the wood grain paper and just sort of distressing everything. It's kind of a grungy look on this layout. I brought back in my VersaMats and glued everything down, and then I remembered that I also wanted to treat these mats that are going behind a few of the pictures. So I wanted to show you how I changed the hue on this piece of lagoon for the main waterfall picture. And it worked quite well to just take a little bit of that teal edge off so that it matches our clothing a little bit better. So as I mentioned earlier, I got this idea from Dorothy over at Scrapbooking Quebec. Dorothy, I wanted to let you know that I grew up in Manitoba and took French right through grade 12, and I know it's pronounced Quebec and not Quebec. So sorry about that earlier in the video, and hopefully you can forgive me. If you are enjoying this video, it would be awesome if you would give me that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon for notifications. And definitely go over to Dorothy's channel. I'll link it down below and check out her awesome layout of Lake Louise, which is in my neck of the woods, not Quebec. And yeah, I just love how her layout turned out, and it really inspired me to do this layout. The paper collection I've used for this layout is no longer available at Close to My Heart. However, there may be makers around with a stash of this layout left over. And so if you want to look for it, it's called In Full Bloom. I will link down below any brushes or tools that I've used that are available. You can see now that I've reached the embellishing stage, and I am inking around the edges of a lot of these stickers even just to give them a little more of that distressed look. I've brought in some of the black shapes like the little film strip, and I'm trying to put a little bit of each element on each spot. And after a little while, I realized that I have a circle with the same sort of print on it as what's under the picture of my husband and I decided that it would be nice to bring that print onto the left-hand page as well. So I tuck it up under the bottom of the film strip, and it makes a really nice base for a few embellishments down there. In April of 2022, my husband and I flew into Seattle and drove down the coast, and we ended up in Portland at the end of our trip because he had to be there for work. So one day we took the drive to go to see Multnomah Falls, which is fairly near Portland, and they're absolutely beautiful and kind of iconic, I think. And we had a Charger, I guess, rental car, and my husband loved that. So we drove this road. It's kind of a windy road with lots of waterfalls on it, and we drove the road, and it was kind of rainy and drizzly, but it was just really beautiful. And these are the pictures that resulted from it. Once I had all these embellishments in place how I like them, I used the Barely Art glue, and I just, gently put glue under everything and pressed it down. Off camera, I added the little acrylic hearts and the little green stars. I also added to the right-hand page some strip journaling and a little tab with the date on the top of the picture of my husband and I. I used the white gel pen to add the date in. I'm really happy with how this layout turned out. It is a bit of a different style for me, but it was fun to put it together. I hope you enjoyed watching it happen, and I thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I'll see you next time here on YouTube.